Here we are back with interesting ideas for a turbulence Thursday. Thursday's a day where sometimes you have to deal with a little bit of turbulence, or as someone said, maybe Thursday's the day when you should cause a little turbulence. As one of my friends says, remember, if you really are good at your work, you will occasionally cause a little bit of a ruckus. In fact, make sure you do from time to time. That will keep everybody better and smarter and more creative and in touch with their customer. Just something to think about. Hey, what are you reading? Always ask that question now. What are you reading? Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I am reading an article which is called The Moral Decline of the Dodgers, and it's written by a guy named Chuck Chalberg. And here's what he said. More than 75 years ago, Jackie Robinson and Branch Rickey made history for the Brooklyn Dodgers by breaking baseball's color line. But today's Los Angeles Dodgers are making a different kind of history by honoring men who put on nuns' habits in order to mock the Catholic Church. Well, the devoutly Christian Robinson and Rickey must be spinning in their graves. Well, that'll cause a little bit of a ruckus. I'm reading that article, The Moral Decline of the Dodgers, and I'm going to see what he says. But it's an interesting little article about literally the faith of those men and what is happening in our culture today. So I'm reading that. Also, my True West, History of the American Frontier. Now, I work with these people quite a bit because a lot of our podcasting, as I've mentioned before, is helping people who are telling stories about the cowboys and the Western tradition and all of that. And this is Kit Carson and the Conquest of California. And then I'm eager to read Tracking Bass Reeves. Now, Bass Reeves was probably one of the top lawmen. Now, oftentimes you hear about the top characters, the Bat Masterson and Wyatt Earp, but probably the best one was actually a black man named Bass Reeves. In fact, some people actually think that he was the inspiration for the movie and television series of long ago and the radio programs called The Lone Ranger. That actually the inspiration was a man named Bass Reeves. A real guy, a real lawman, a real character, and they've got some articles on that. But if you love the Western tradition like I do, you will look up, just check it out, True West, A History of the American Frontier, and I am a subscriber and I'm a promoter, even though they don't pay me to do so. But that's what I'm reading this weekend. I love that magazine. Okay, that's what I'm reading right now, along with a few other things. Hey, if you have any suggestions for what I should read, why don't you just send them to me, stanhouston@gmail.com, stanhouston@gmail.com. I'd love to hear what you say. Well, today I would like to talk about being quiet, being still. And so that's what I'm going to do. We'll talk about the still point in life and the power you might get. That's coming up, and we'll be ready to go. And now I'm back. What I read all the time when I get up and do my kind of morning watch for body, soul, spirit, and exercise, oftentimes I read a book that's 100 years old called Streams in the Desert. And it's basically a religious piece, but it's so full of life stuff as much as it is about the spirit and religious stuff. And so this one, which is actually one of my favorites, I read it again, and let me just share it with you because it has some very interesting points of view. Hey, this is our rightful place. You know that? To be seated in heavenly places in Jesus and to sit still there. But how few there are who make it to their actual experience. How few indeed think even that it is possible for them to sit still in these heavenly places, in the everyday life of a world so full of turmoil and chaos and mess as this. By the way, remember, this book was written 100 years ago. We may believe, perhaps, that to pay a little visit to these heavenly places on Sundays, or now and then in times of some spiritual exaltation, that may be within the range of possibility, but to be actually seated there every day and all day long is altogether another matter. And yet it is very plain. It is very plain that it is for Sundays and weekdays as well. Now, here's where it really strikes home. Think about this. A quiet spirit is of inestimable value in carrying on outward activities, and nothing so hinders the working of the hidden spiritual forces upon which, after all of our success in everything really depends. Nothing hinders them more than a spirit of unrest and anxiety. Does that strike home? Now, the recipe. There is immense power in stillness. A great saint once said, "All things come to him and her who knows how to trust and be silent." The words are pregnant with meaning. A knowledge of this fact would immensely change our way of working. Instead of a restless struggle, we would sit down inwardly before the Lord God, and we would let the divine forces of His Spirit work out in silence the ends to which we aspire. You may not see or feel the operations of this silent force, but be assured it is always working mightily, and it will work for you if you only get your spirit still enough to be carried along by the currents of its power. And then they conclude, it is your business to be powerful and safe in God in every situation by your stillness. I'm trying to remember who said it, but a senior moment has hit me. A lot of the world's problems come from the fact that hardly anybody can sit still for 30 minutes and be quiet. That if everybody could do that, and maybe even would do that, maybe a lot of our problems would be solved. Well, that's all for today. That's just about 10 minutes. But what are you reading? Again, that was Streams in the Desert. And what they're saying is, learn to be still. Just sit still. Someone has said the best kind of prayer is when you shut up and listen. And just see, could it be that there are strong spiritual forces in the other world, which may be the real world, that are available to us when we just sit still, wait, and listen, and see what comes to us, and perhaps see what happens for us and what happens to us. There we go. I'm Stan Houston. On this Thursday, just a few ideas for your thought and consideration. The power of stillness. Hey, reach out to me. A lot of things we can help you with. Our coaching experience workshop is been something I've been working on for 12 years. But now we're going to take it to the marketplace because we know how, after all of that work, we know how to help you, coach you, so that you can coach others. There's a lot of coaching books out there, but I think we have one of the best programs and products, and maybe you will help write it, and it will be the book that works. We're also working on a way to help market and sell yourself in this internet age. And again, those of you who want to be on the radio, and you're going to have to be on the radio in some way or play, that's what we do. We'll help you be a world-class radio podcaster, broadcaster. You can do this. You can do it well. And it will be a powerful force in your life and work to be on your radio program, on your radio station, giving your message to the wide, wide world. Again, that's what we do, and we do it well. Please reach out to me, stanhouston@gmail.com. Again, always close with a benediction, so all the best and blessings to you. There's a real heat wave going on throughout the United States. Stay safe, stay cool. And this is a holiday. A lot of people will be on the road here, just as people are always on the road around the world. Pray for safety, and then answer your own prayer. Drive safely and soberly. I'm Stan. All the best. Bye for now.